Imagine waking up to the sound of glass and metal getting crushed, only to find HOA Karen standing in my yard with a brick in her hand, breathing like a dragon. And my mailbox? Completely obliterated. The best part? I'm not even in her. Damn HOA. But oh, she's about to wish she never stepped foot on my property. Let me tell you something about peace. It's quiet. Until a Karen moves in across the street. I live just outside the HOA line. Like, literally, my mailbox marks the edge. The rest of the neighborhood's trapped in those tight HOA rules. But not me. I made sure of that when I bought this place. No random inspections, no fees for tall grass, no notes taped to my door about what shade of beige my shutters are. But guess who didn't get the memo? Yep, Karen Dot, full-time control freak. Part-time HOA board member, full-blown nightmare. Now, before this whole mess with the mailbox, I kept things civil. I'd wave, she'd squint like I was a stray dog. Whatever, not everyone has to like me. I'm good with that. But then she started doing this thing where she'd slip paper notes into my mailbox. Handwritten, no stamps, no names, just stuff. Like, mailbox needs to be uniform with community standard. Trash bins visible from street. Violation. Driveway lighting too bright after 9 p.m. I read the first one and laughed. I thought, bless her heart, she doesn't know I'm not part of her little kingdom. I ignored it. For a while. Then came the neighbors. They'd warned me like I was the new guy, even though I'd been here for 3 years. You better be careful with that red paint on your trim. Karen doesn't like it. She fined my son for putting up Halloween lights a week early. She told my wife to remove her wind chimes because they sounded aggressive. It was funny, until it wasn't. Now fast forward to last month, I was out front repainting my mailbox. Nothing fancy, just sprucing it up with a darker bronze. Looked slick, matched the trim on my house, and most importantly, I liked it. Here comes Karen, marching across the street like she owns the asphalt. She's got this clipboard under one arm, sunglasses on, and that pinched little expression that says she smelled something bad and is blaming you for it. "Excuse me," she barks, like I'm trespassing on my own driveway. "That color isn't approved by the Homeowners Association. Mailboxes must remain black or forest green per Article 7. Now keep in mind, this woman has never introduced herself to me properly, never said hi. But here she is, quoting bylaws like I'm her student. I put the brush down and go, "Ma'am, I don't think that applies to me." She tilts her head like I just started speaking Morse code. "It applies to everyone on this street. You're in our jurisdiction." I almost laughed. I pointed toward the survey stake in my yard and said, "Actually, that line, that's your HOA's boundary. I'm not in it. Never signed up, never paid in. Bought this place outside of it on purpose." She straight up scoffed, like I was lying. "That's not how it works," she says. "Everyone benefits from the HOA's upkeep. Everyone must follow the standards, lady." "What?" I told her flat out. "Look, I don't want trouble, but you're wrong. I'm not under your HOA. You have no authority over this property." You'd think that would end it. It didn't. She stared at me like I'd just told her I eat puppies, then stormed off. No goodbye, no nothing. Just her fake tan rage disappearing behind a white picket fence. I figured that was that. Just another HOA Karen moment, until that night, around 11:45 p.m. I'm watching TV, lights low, house quiet. Then, crash. Glass, metal, something heavy. Boom! Right outside. I jump up, grab a flashlight, run out front. Mailbox? Gone. And I don't mean leaning funny or damaged. I mean obliterated. The post snapped clean in. Half. Bent steel. Mail scattered in the dirt. It looked like a car hit it, except the street was empty. Except I had cameras. Yeah, I installed motion cameras a year ago after some raccoons got bold. Never really expected them to catch anything. Serious, but I checked the footage, and there it was, Karen, in full view, holding a landscaping rock the size of a cantaloupe, wearing a hoodie, in summer, like that was gonna hide her. She walks up, looks around, and smashes my mailbox like she's trying to win a WWE belt. Not once, not twice. 3 full swings. Then she drops the rock, hurries off back across the street like some cartoon villain. I just stood there, watching the footage, mouth open. I couldn't believe it. Like, who does that? Over paint? I thought about it for a while. I could have just called the cops. I could have gone over and screamed in her face. I could have made a scene right then, but I didn't. Because in that moment, something clicked. This wasn't just some grumpy neighbor. This was someone who needed to be taught a lesson, the legal way. I took a picture of the wreckage, sent a copy of the video to myself, backed it up twice. Then I made a list, because if Karen thought smashing my mailbox was justice, she hadn't even seen real rules yet. All right, this is it. I've got the paperwork. I've got the footage. I've got the proof Karen's entire HOA queen routine is built on soggy cardboard. And now it's time to pull the pin. First move, the neighborhood letter. Not an email. Not a passive Facebook post. A printed physical packet. I draft it like a case file. Short, sharp, brutal. Front page, to my neighbors, here's the truth. Next page, boom. Full-color screenshot of Karen in her hoodie, mid-swing, mailbox rubble flying. Underneath it, this is your HOA president, caught on camera vandalizing my property. Then I drop the boundary map, clear as daylight, red highlight around my property. Bold text, I am not in the HOA, never have been. Flip the page again. Side-by-side photos, her unpermitted deck and her shed. Zoomed in, marked up. These violate the very rules she enforces on others. I seal 20 of these, drop them in mailboxes up and down the block, including the HOA board president's house. I didn't even try to be subtle. Let 'em talk. Now for the next move, the post. I log into the local community Facebook group, the one Karen practically lives in. She made herself a moderator months ago, always pinning posts about lawn uniformity and decor restrictions. Well, guess what? I'm about to pin something better. I drop the same screenshots. Karen's brick-swinging glory, the boundary map, the USPS slip-marked, return to sender, everything. Caption, false authority is not the same as real power. If you're tired of being bullied into rules that don't apply, here's what happened when I said no. I post it, then sit back. It takes 11 minutes for the comments to start rolling. First one. Wait, you're not even in the HOA? Then why did she fine you? Next. Karen's been citing me for a non-HOA shed for 2 years. I thought, I was the only one. Another neighbor drops a pic of their boundary map. Also outside the HOA, one by one the facade cracks. Karen's credibility? Gone. By the end of the night, the group has 43 comments and 12 likes on my post. Karen? Silent. But the internet's just the beginning. 2 days later, I'm out front trimming the hedges when a white city SUV pulls up in front of her house. 2 guys step out. Clipboards, work boots. One's got a tape measure, city inspectors. Don't say a word, just lean on my rake and sip my coffee. They knock on her door. She answers in her signature visor and neck scarf like it's a tennis match. They don't even go inside. They walk straight around the house into the backyard. 10 minutes later, they start marking things with blue tape. The shed, tagged, the deck, measured, photographed. I hear Karen's voice rising, shrill and panicked. This is ridiculous. These are personal upgrades. No one complained. One of the guys calmly goes, they're not permitted. And this property line? You're outside HOA zoning for this half. These structures aren't grandfathered. They need to be removed or brought to code. She's frozen, like someone yanked the battery out of her clipboard. That evening, I get the update through the grapevine. Her deck got red tagged. Her shed's under removal order. And she's facing multiple fines for code violations. Now here's where it gets delicious. The HOA board, who's been keeping their head low through all this, calls a special meeting. Private invite. No Karen. They review my documents, the city citations, the screenshots. They pull up complaints from other residents. Turns out a lot of people had been keeping quiet. Next thing I hear, Karen's been removed from the HOA board. No resignation, no speech. Just a cold vote and a typed notice delivered to her door. And the best part? They use my boundary map to start updating their records. So this nonsense never happens again. A week later, I'm out watering the front lawn. Karen walks up. No clipboard, no scarf. Just her. Face flushed, chest tight, rage simmering like old coffee on a hot plate. You've ruined my reputation. I built this community. I kept it clean. And now you've made me a joke. I don't argue. I don't yell. I pull out my phone, tap the screen once, and show her the video. Her hoodie, her rock, my mailbox exploding. She looks away, and I say the only thing I needed to. Not your rules. Not your land. Not your mailbox. She turns around and walks away, and for the first time in months, she doesn't look back. All right, at this point, I'm done playing defense. Karen's out here acting like the HOA sheriff, smashing my stuff, calling the post office, turning the neighbors against me, and I'm supposed to just sit here? Nah, I'm done. So I dig in. And I don't mean scroll through some Google Maps digging. I'm talking real paperwork, county-level stuff. I bust open the manila folder from when I bought the house. Deed, plat survey, HOA disclosures, everything, spread out across my dining table like I'm about to crack a cold case. First thing I do, I highlight every single line that says what I already knew. I'm not in the HOA, not 1 inch, not the mailbox, not the front yard, nada. But then, the good part. I pull up the satellite layout, cross-check it with the county maps online. And there it is. Karen's lot is split, like dead serious, the front half of her property. Sure, that's inside the HOA, but her backyard, shed, deck, that's on non-HOA land. She's been enforcing rules she doesn't even fully live under. Let that sink in. I laugh. Out loud. Alone at my kitchen table like a lunatic. Because this woman has been going door to door with her little clipboard yelling about violations. And her own deck is technically illegal. That's right. Next day, I head down to the county assessor's office. You want real ammo? That's where you find it. I walk in, give them the address, and ask if any building permits were filed in the past 10 years. The guy types for a second, squints, shakes his head. Nothing on file, no deck, no external structures, just the original house plan. I go, what about the shed in her backyard? He frowns. That wasn't in the original drawings either. Boom. That's 2 violations right there. Both things she built without permission. Meanwhile, she's out here losing her mind over mailbox paint. You can't make this up. So I file an official property complaint. Real simple. Anonymous allowed. Just point out the unpermitted structures. Include the lot split detail. Done. Now I'm not stopping there. No. That would be petty. I want justice. Legal, heavy, undeniable justice. So I call up my old college buddy, guy named Nick. He's a real estate attorney now. Told him the whole story. He actually pauses and goes, wait, she vandalized your mailbox and you've got video? And she's harassing you under rules you're not even bound to? Yep. Okay, let's have some fun. Within 2 days, he's drafted a certified legal letter, simple, strong, direct. It states that I'm not under HOA jurisdiction, that her destruction of my property is on video, and that I'm formally demanding reimbursement for damages, mail, disruption losses, and emotional distress. We send it certified mail, signature required. I picture her opening it like she's checking her lottery numbers, and instead she finds a legal grenade with her name on it. Meanwhile, I'm prepping the next stage. See? This woman built her whole reputation around being the rule enforcer. All the board meetings, the Facebook posts, the passive-aggressive flyers on door handles. She thinks she's untouchable. So I figure, let's make this public. Not in a blast her online way, no. That's messy. I'm talking paper trail, HOA minutes, public complaint logs, building code filings. I compile everything. Her violations, the map of her split lot, screenshots from the video, photos of my destroyed mailbox, copies of the USPS, return to sender slips. Put it all in a clean little folder labeled Unauthorized Actions by HOA Member 1137 Maple Lane. Why? Because I'm mailing it to every board member certified that same day. And here's the twist. I include a note that says, please confirm whether this individual is authorized to act on behalf of the HOA. If not, please clarify who will cover the damages incurred under her false representation. You know what that is? It's legal talk for, you better distance yourself from Karen before this burns you too. Now here's the thing about people like Karen. They thrive in shadows, in whispered warnings, in silent compliance. But the moment you shine a legal light on them, they scatter like cockroaches. So while she's walking around the neighborhood, proud as ever, knocking on doors with her clipboard, she has no idea she just stepped into her own trap. I'm not yelling. I'm not threatening. I'm not cussing her out in the street. Nope. I'm just sitting back, watching the rope tighten. Because the beauty of doing it by the book is that when karma finally lands, it's airtight. All right, so now my mailbox is lying in the dirt like roadkill, and Karen thinks she just served justice on a silver platter. She doesn't know yet. This ain't over. This is just the beginning. First thing I do, I call the cops. Not 911. I'm not that dramatic. I call the local non-emergency line and tell them straight, hey, my mailbox was destroyed. I've got security footage. Pretty sure it was my neighbor across the street. They send out a deputy. Now picture this. I'm standing outside next to what used to be my mailbox. Deputy rolls up, steps out, all calm and official. Karen? Oh, she must have seen the patrol car, because 2 minutes later, here she comes, speed walking, across the street like she's headed to testify in court. Is everything okay? She says, all wide-eyed like she doesn't know a thing. I saw some debris in your yard, so unfortunate. Lady, please. I hand the deputy my phone and say, you might want to watch this. He watches it. Full video. Karen, hoodie and all, going full Thor on my mailbox. He turns to her slowly and goes, ma'am, this you? And without missing a beat, she starts crying. Hand to heart, folks. She goes full daytime soap opera, clutches her pearls, gets all breathy and says, I thought it was a hazard. It was leaning, and I worried it could hurt a child. I'm just standing there like, what child? It's a mailbox, not a trampoline. She's shaking. Crocodile tears, acting like she was the one attacked. And the deputy? I can see it in his face. He knows it's crap. But his hands are tied. He says something like, this looks like a civil issue. You can file a report and you're welcome to pursue charges or restitution. No arrest, no fine, nothing. She smirks behind her tissue, walks back across the street, like she just beat the system. And me? I'm standing there next to my busted-up post like, cool, so crimes don't matter now? But fine. Game on. I file the report, send in the footage. But while I'm handling that, Karen's working overtime. She goes full internet warrior mode, starts posting in the HOA Facebook group. Yeah, the same group I'm not even supposed to be in, because I'm not part of the HOA. One of my neighbors screenshots it and sends it to me. Here's what she wrote. Certain individuals think they're above community standards. I've taken action to protect our neighborhood from unauthorized structures and unsafe installations. Y'all, unauthorized structures? It was a mailbox that I rebuilt because she destroyed it. She even adds a picture of my new temporary box, literally a plastic bin zip-tied to a garden stake, and calls it visual pollution. The next day, my mail doesn't come. Then the day after that, I get a notice from USPS. Package, unable to deliver, no valid receptacle. Item returned to sender. It was a part I needed for a job. Special order, non-refundable. Now I'm down $100 and stuck explaining to a client why their install is late. I go to the post office and they tell me, "We were advised by a neighborhood representative that your box wasn't secure or compliant." Neighborhood representative? It was Karen. I know it was Karen. I drive home fuming. This woman isn't just annoying now. She's interfering with my business, my income, and what's worse. The whispers start. Neighbors I used to wave to? Now they just nod. Some look away. One guy even says, "Man, I heard you've been causing problems with the HOA. Can't we all just follow the same rules?" I'm like, what rules? I don't have their rules. I'm not in the HOA. But see, that's the power of someone like Karen. She spreads half-truths like wildfire. Doesn't matter if it's not true. People believe the loudest voice in the room. And guess what? I'm not loud. Not yet. That night, I sat at my desk with every document I had from when I bought the house. The deed, the map, the plat survey, all of it. And there it was, crystal clear. My property is outside the HOA line, completely. But here's where it gets delicious. In that same packet was something else, a diagram, one I hadn't paid much attention to before. It showed all the property lines for our little stretch of road, and right there, Karen's house. It's on a split lot, half inside the HOA, half out. And suddenly my brain lit up. Wait a minute. Is she even allowed to enforce HOA stuff from where she lives? I make some calls. County assessor's office, zoning board, even a property lawyer buddy of mine from college. And oh man, we're just getting started. But back to that week. I rebuilt the mailbox, reinforced post, steel box, no fancy paint. Just solid, straight, unbreakable. And you know what Karen did? She came over while I was installing it and said, "Just so you're aware, mailboxes still need to match the HOA aesthetic." I didn't say a word, just smiled, kept drilling, because this time, I wasn't just rebuilding a mailbox. I was building her downfall. So, what happened after the smoke cleared? Let me put it like this. Karen disappeared. Not literally, she didn't pack up and move, though honestly, that would have been cleaner. But she went dead quiet. No more notices taped to people's doors. No more official HOA warnings about lawn height or flag size. No more strutting around with that clipboard like she was policing a crime scene. Just silence. She'd peek through the blinds when people walked by, sure. But that loud, chest-out rule enforcer energy? Gone. It was almost eerie. And then, oh, the cherry on top? One morning, I'm pulling out of my driveway, sipping coffee, and I notice something. Her mailbox, demolished, busted clean off the post, bent in half like someone took a baseball bat to it. Now listen, before you even ask, I had nothing to do with it. Scout's honor. But still, poetic, right? I slowed down and stared for a second, trying to keep a straight face, but inside, I was dying. The same woman who lost her mind over my mailbox gets hers wrecked a month later. Karma drives a stick shift. But here's the part I did do. I upgraded mine. Yeah. Went full fortress. Mode steel core post. Reinforced box. Concrete base. Painted matte black. Subtle. Clean. Untouchable. And just for kicks, I added motion-activated lights and a little HD camera tucked underneath the eaves. So if anyone, and I mean anyone, gets funny ideas again, I'm ready. Now, mail service? Totally normal again. Packages delivered, bills on time. Amazon didn't return to sender once. Even my postman pulled up next to me one day and said, "Glad that drama's over. I hated skipping your stop." I smiled and said, "Yeah, me too." But the biggest shift? The neighbors. Oh man, the neighbors changed overnight. People started waving again. One guy who hadn't said more than 2 words to me in years came over and asked, "Hey, did you really catch her on camera?" I showed him the screenshots. He shook his head and said, "She fined me for a patio umbrella once. I never even thought to fight it." Another lady 2 houses down. She brought cookies, like actual cookies. Said, "Thanks for standing up to her. We were all tired of walking on eggshells." It was wild because it hit me. Nobody really liked Karen. They just didn't know what to do about her. She was loud, pushy, pretended to know the law, and most folks don't want to stir the pot. They've got jobs, kids, stress. They don't want to read bylaws or pull property maps. But once someone finally stood up, they all followed. In fact, 2 weeks after Karen got booted off the board, the HOA held an open meeting. Guess what the first agenda item was? Clarifying boundary definitions and revising enforcement policies. They brought out new maps, redrew the lines, made it crystal clear. No member, no authority. They even implemented a rule that any future board member must live entirely within HOA jurisdiction, a direct response to Karen's split-lot fiasco. Someone even asked if I wanted to join the board. I said, "Appreciate it, but I like my freedom right where it is." Now, as for Karen, she still lives there, still peeks through her curtains. But that whole HOA enforcer vibe? Dead. She doesn't walk the block anymore, doesn't knock on doors, doesn't even post in the Facebook group. She's not banned. She just knows. Her power's gone. And honestly, that's enough for me. I didn't want to ruin her life. I'm not that kind of guy. But I was going to defend my space, my time, my name. Because when someone swings a rock at your property, pretending they're the law, sometimes you gotta swing back with facts, footage, and fireproof documents. And in the end, I didn't have to scream, didn't have to fight dirty, didn't even raise my voice. I just told the truth, stacked my proof, and let the story tell itself. And trust me, it told it loud. Now I water my yard in peace. No weird glances, no HOA drama, just the sound of sprinklers, birds, and silence from across the street. The way it should have been from the start. Because Karen thought she could scare me into submission. But all she really did was swing a rock at her own reputation.